Hello everybody, Prepper003 here today, and today I'm going to be talking about another Preparedness Essentials video for you, and this one's going to be the third episode, and that is going to be the discussion on food, and why it's a necessity for us to be able to stockpile and for us to stockpile food. Now the big thing is, when it comes to food, is that a lot of people think that they're just going to go out into the woods and that they're going to hunt, scavenge for food. The thing is that not all disaster scenarios are accommodating to that mindset, to that thought process. Now, being a hunter, being a forager, being a scavenger is something that's a very good asset to you in a post-SHTF scenario. The thing is that in that SHTF scenario, you're looking at one given scenario. There's a lot of different types of scenarios that can happen that can destroy the fabric of hunting and scavenging and gathering. One of the big things is that if the area becomes so contaminated, the wildlife starts to die off in the area. For example, I'm just going to name one example, a Yellowstone eruption. The amount of ash that's going to be produced from that will cover a majority of the U.S. and would actually cause a lot of the plant life to die off and damaging a lot of it, be making a lot of the water areas toxic due to the sulfuric acids in it. So right now you're going to be having a lot of issues, not just with food, but with water in some type of given scenarios. So another example is a nuclear meltdown, like we saw with Fukushima or Chernobyl. So, and right now, a lot of those things you might actually have to bug out too, which why having food previously stockpiled in your preps is something that will be a very big asset to you in an SHTF scenario. Now, there's a lot of different types of foods that you can stockpile. For example, I'm just going to give you just a few of the things that I grabbed out of my own stockpile right here for you. I'm just going to go from the right to the left just to give you guys some ideas. Now, this isn't all that there is. I mean, there is tons of different things out there that you can stockpile that has very long shelf lives, similar to the Weiss Food Company buckets, just for example. But I'm going to start with some of the things that are more readily accessible, like canned foods. Canned foods are very compact. They're very easy to store on a shelf. They don't take up a heck of a lot of space compared to some things like these food buckets here. But the thing is that they have weight. So if you have to bug out, they're not that big of a thing to be able to have to load all these cans unless you had them pre-sorted out like something on these cardboard handles right here. But then there's things like canned things of beef and vegetables, and then cans of meat. Now I know that some of these have GMOs on them and everything, so you kind of have to, with canned foods, you kind of have to realize that some of those things are going to have GMOs. But if it's a really disastrous scenario to where you're not going to be able to hunt, scavenge, or anything, having a little bit of GMOs in your food is going to be a heck of a lot better than having no food at all. Then there are things like peanut butter. Peanut butter is rich in calories, and you can go a pretty good amount with just the calories in a single thing of peanut butter. So maybe you can just toss more of these in your bug out bag if you have to bug out in a very quick, orderly fashion, or unorderly fashion, mind you. But having something like this right here, which has a very, well, not a very long shelf life, but a substantial shelf life of sometimes over a year. So that's something that can be something like Spam or rice is another good option too. The thing is, with rice, you are going to need water, which is why I already have mentioned in the second episode of the Preparedness Essentials, having water to help aid in the cooking of some of these types of things. So that's one of the things that you really get hit with. Then there are things like ramen as well. That's another option. You have some of the more things like your dehydrated food, like these Mountain House meals. That's another option that you can get. Then there are more heavy-duty options, kind of like these MREs, which have a little bit heavier weight than the Mountain House meals, but these things have a heck of a lot more calories in them, and just one of these a day can keep you going for a okay period of time, depending on how active you are. Then if you're like on a semi-better budget, and you don't want to go with something like this, you want to go with something that's going to have a long maintained shelf life, maybe going for something like these Weiss Company foods, like the food buckets here. Then you have like the 72-hour packs here, which is something that's a very good option for you, especially if you're looking at that extended period of time, because the one thing when it comes to it, these right here, is you're having to recycle them. Even your longer things like your rice here, you do still have to recycle them as well. They do not have a infinite shelf life. So that's one of the things why you have to just kind of just realize that with certain things you have to actually work at recycling them. One of the things I would recommend doing is if you are to get like if you do canned food or something like that, or as you can see like right here, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see it properly, but I have them dated on each one of these things right here. As you can see, these ones right here are getting a little bit close to their over a year's shelf life right here. So these are going to be my next one on rotation for rotating out my rice. So that's just one thing that you have to kind of just realize, is that rotating those foods, rotating your stockpile is something that's going to be a necessity, especially for food, because the one thing with food is it can go bad. So, and I know that there's stories of things that have lasted decades or even some centuries. One that I know of that can last a heck of a long time is honey. That's one option with it. So that's just one thing that I really just wanted to throw out there, is that honey is one that has almost no shelf life to speak of. I mean, it's pretty much it can last a heck of a long time. There's even ones where they've opened up honey from the pyramids, and they were just reached in there and they were still edible, and they didn't have mold or anything on them. So that's another option for you. But right now, I want to hear what you guys have to say. What are some foods that you guys stockpile? I know one thing that I did not mention in here is gardening. Right now, due to my area, I can only have a very small garden, only like a 5 foot by 5 foot plot, so it's nothing too extensive. But then there are other people that can have full farmlands full of crops. So the one thing you just have to realize is that you have to properly maintain those as well, and you have to find a way of storing those. Like canning is another good option for you guys if you are looking at doing that. So I want to hear your guys' opinions, your guys' options, and some of the things that you guys are stockpiling for foods that maybe I didn't think of. Because right now this is all about a learning experience. It's a learning experience for me. It's a learning experience for you guys. So I really want to make this a community effort to help each of us build on each other's weaknesses. So the one thing that I'm kind of weak on is just my renewable, like maybe hydroponics, gardening. That's something that I could try to do more into myself. But that's about it for the food episode. I just kind of wanted to get it out there, get some of the options here that there is for food, and also be able to give you guys some of the mindset onto why you want to stockpile food, rather than just being it onto the mindset of, oh, I don't need to stockpile any food, I can just hunt and live off the land. Because the land may not always be pertainable, able to live off of. You might still be able to survive in that area, but the food that you're going to be eating might not be the most healthiest, if you will. So, thank you. I appreciate you guys watching. And remember, those that prepare for today, survive tomorrow. Have a great day.